What's up, guys? I hope you liked that last video from California. We're back in the warehouse working on the 240. I spent the day working on a few brackets I'm making for some aesthetic beams I'm putting in the garage of my showroom. But right now it's finally time to get back to working on the car. It's still far away from being a bare shell, which is the starting point for the build. So I've gotten the control arms off, or pretty much the weird setup that 240s have, where it's pretty much a singular control arm and a few linkages. So tonight I'm going to be ripping out the rest of the interior, which it's pretty much empty at this point. I got the AC and heater unit pulled, and now it's just a mess. Got to pull everything out of here, pull the carpet out, and see what random rust is going to be hidden for me. Anyways, guys, hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and please like the videos if you're liking it, and you know, leave a comment. Alright, so we're in the 240, got the carpet pulled. There's a bit of rust here and there. We'll see more once I actually get the dry ice on all of the sound deadener and pull up all of these seam sealer, see what I'm looking at. Still got a few more electronics and a bit of wires to pull out of here. So just gonna focus on that tonight. Still need to get this stripped down to a bare shell and then start working on the rust issue. That wire is gonna hang in there. Anyways, yeah, let's keep moving, see where it goes. And again, I really do appreciate all of, I think it's about 45 of you that have subscribed to the channel. It is definitely appreciated, and I hope you share with your friends and make them hit that subscribe button too, because honestly, this is a fun hobby, and it's nice to see feedback. So I mean, hit that subscribe and notification bell, as well as the thumbs up. So let's keep moving on this. Thanks, guys. So right now, I'm kind of at a weird avenue with the build. Not exactly stumped with anything, nor am I having an issue. I'm just kind of having build ADD, where I'm sure this has happened to a lot of you. You're kind of sitting around, you're like, what do I wrench on? A lot needs to happen. Should I pull this off, pull that off? You start pulling every bit apart, which is what you need to do. However, you don't feel focused on the end goal. You know, if you're familiar with this feeling, you'll get this. If not, you know, hear me out. So anyways, when you get distracted with a build like this, where it's a lot of stuff going on, you need to keep track of things. So how do you get, well, how do you accomplish finishing a large-scale build like this on your own in a short period of time? Like I did with my V8 Miata, built that entirely on my own in a course of about a year while I was still in school, and built a factory 5 kit car hot rod from the ground up in about 6 months or so when I was in high school, so I'm familiar with the whole concept. So with that being said, 5 things that I'm gonna, or 5 tips that I'm gonna give you guys on how to get a build done effectively and timely. So let's start with in the back of the 240, obviously, and I'm just working away at pulling out the wiring that's connected to the taillights. I'm going to be doing a whole new wiring setup, so I need to strip everything. But with that being said, I mentioned that I would share a few tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to making sure that you have a good build. The first things first, once you have a car that's in mind or an engine that's in mind, you need to do a lot of research. Once you have the car, start doing the engine research. Once you have, or vice versa, if you have a motor in mind, pick a car that you know it will work, or venture into some new territories and put that motor into something that's never been in before if you're experienced. I would recommend doing that if you're not experienced though. So, for instance, with the V8 Miata, I knew I wanted to do a Miata build, and then that car gradually turned into a V8 build as I learned more and more about the build process and realized how easy it actually was. So, second point I learned that kind of goes hand in hand with doing the research. You're gonna want to start making a list, maybe even 2, of parts that you need to buy and things that will have to be done to the car to bring it to what you want to do. If you're doing custom fabrication, like doing a cage, do you have to buy that metal? Are you buying a prefabricated kit? Things like that. And then tally up the cost, which goes into the third point. It goes into kind of just a personal preference where I don't like to have cars sitting around being projects for years and years and years. So I like to kind of save a certain allocated amount of money to the parts that I need for the car before I purchase the car. That way, as soon as I'm ready or in advance to actually completing the chassis or whatever I'm doing to the car, the parts are ready or on their way. That way, you just keep moving with the build and it's not sitting stagnant, being like, oh, I got my coilovers, but still can't afford the motor. So that's a very simple but more complicated step depending on your financial situation. So car projects are definitely not a necessity, but they are, it's kind of a way of life for a lot of people. So I get that. The fourth point that goes to getting everything sorted and organized is keeping your paperwork for the car organized. Oh, almost knocked the camera off. Depending on your state, you're gonna have to go through an inspection and they may want to see the paperwork from a motor swap or anything like that. For instance, if you get a salvage car and you're building that back up, I know, for instance, in Massachusetts, you'll have to provide all paperwork associated with that car and prove that none of the car is stolen, whether it's the actual car, it's the motor, any parts that go along with it, you need the receipts for. So stay organized. The fifth point, it also sticks with organization. If you want to do a race car build like me, this part's a little less important, but it still isn't is relevant as far as keeping hardware like nuts and bolts that you're planning on reusing. I personally am not planning on reusing anything because I've had so many bolts break. I just don't trust the quality or the condition of the parts that I'm pulling off the car. So, but if you are keeping parts, you want to box and label everything, whether you're going to keep them and then put them back on the car or sell them, like me. Organizing them and labeling them helps for that purpose. So those are 5 things that I personally recommend doing with your build, whether you're doing a motorcycle or a car. It all works the same. So again, I'm going to keep working with this. I'm not sure how much longer my camera has battery and memory space for tonight. I forgot to charge it and drain the memory card of footage. So we'll see what's going on, and if not, we'll catch you next time. So just gonna keep working. Thanks, guys.